Alright, well, we're gonna get started with the title, Monarch. Now, I've seen someone talk about it, but the logos, we're about to have a look. But if you want access to the marketing assets, you go to retailer marketing asset. If you want the Monarch one, it's down in the articles section, Monarch marketing assets. But anyway, we're about to get started. Now I'm about to zoom in here, and we're gonna definitely look at that blade. Now that's the one thing that was mentioned in the post, but there's a bunch of demons, no doubt about that. However, we're gonna look at the map, and now, well, I'll get to it eventually. I had some video difficulty. It wouldn't pick up my voice during the recording, so I'm injecting voice on top of a video. So here we are. Alright, now if you look at that weapon, that's definitely coming from right there. If we zoom in right there, if you look right there, if you look, all those demons that you see in the background, it's definitely playing a role for it. I'm actually rather interesting to see what class that is. I do not know what that weapon is. The spear, hard to say. I'll probably find out in Kingdoms, or perhaps in the next part of Viserai's story, we'll probably figure out who it belonged to. But there was a man that sacrificed himself, and to bring the island alive to where it's constantly warping, making it very difficult for the good guys to get on. But anyway, we're about to get into this. Talks about dark alchemy. Now, I like the word alchemy because, let's get down to it. I need to find this section. Man, I wish my audio would have worked. I would have just said what I said while recording. It's hard to, with the pace. I should highlight it eventually, but I'm looking for it. Alright. The occult, the arcane, dark biomancy, and alchemy. Now, dark biomancy, I'm pretty fairly certain there's got to be a good side to that too, biomancy and alchemy. And it makes you wonder how they're going to design cards in the future that feature dark biomancy and dark alchemy. And how will they combine the good side of it too as well? That has remained to be seen very so I'm certainly looking forward to it. But I like the failed experiments section. Mortis can disappear anywhere, and it essentially can't die because it can reform from the remains. I imagine the necromancy's got to play a part to that, but also the biomancy plus alchemy, changing its intestines, had a role to play with that. However, it does make you wonder, was there more than just one type of mortis? That's honestly hard to say, because I've seen all kinds of ungodly living things attacking those Valkyrie archangels and the monarch key art. Man. But anyway, Mortis seems right. He can vanish, and he preys on dread and fear. That's rather interesting. But there's even Erebus, and I would have to say Erebus. Sentient life? It sounds like a bad Terminator, to tell you the truth. Sent from the future to kill the good guys, like Arnold or the girl, who that matter is. Now, the Vitus, they seem like they're robots, but they were designed to tend to the dimensions. I think they're the reason why when a researcher dies, his knowledge is absorbed into the demonastery's archives, and I believe the Vitus have a role to play in that, and that's probably the reason why that stuff happens. They probably do some force field tricks once someone's out of the room, and then they come in and take the stuff and transport it, probably using magic, I'd imagine. But they seem interesting, and they do mention something that looks like about the size of a Vitus and Viscerai's story. Now, I'm definitely going to be getting around to that, and I'm going to head over there eventually. But Residence Manor, I always wonder, how do they get on the island? They should probably explain that. The residence, I mean, it's constantly warping. Like, it goes from one place to another. 30 minutes, it's on one side of the map. Another 30 minutes, it's near the rocks. It's very difficult to locate. And, but I do wonder. Now, I believe we are about to go into Viscerai's story. Now, the real question here is, I fast forwarded, put it at the right position, because after he kills Corva, which is read the runes card, something whispers in his hands, and it says, "What do you want? Power." Actually, he mentions have it all, and then it mentions power, and I'm like, does this individual have to be tied into the spear itself? The singular spear that's on the other side of the map? The image logo that happens to be upon the demonastery. Who does the spear belong to? Could it be this individual that's staking to the Arc Knight? Is he trying, he or she or whatever it is it trying to control the individual Viscerai, to try to usurp whoever is there in charge? Because really, the story does talk about Lord Sutcliffe, but we do not know if he is the head honcho at the demonastery. For all intents and purposes, I think the Vitus are controlled. It's honestly hard to say if there's a council who are the Vitus, who are very difficult to see. The council itself, it's really interesting. And anyway, this story talks about how something whispers. There's a girl about the size of a Vitus, they're very small, evidently, and it talks about porcelain, but there's a demon horn. So there's definitely some mutation. So the real question here is, what exactly are we dealing with? Really, it's hard to say. Demon horns, porcelain skin. It makes you exactly wonder, what on earth is it? And where? Now, this could have been easily the man that they mentioned that sacrificed himself to turn on the barrier that makes the island rotate. This could have been one of his many projects that he originally had in the beginning. And it might be the reason why authorities were catching on to him, which is why he would have went and decided to put it in a cave or somewhere, then search around. He found the island, and my guess is that porcelain demon with the horn girl, size of a vitus, is a creation of his. And I do believe the man I believe he's in spiritual aether form controlling the vitus, but I don't know whether or not he has a full grasp grip on the porcelain girl that we're talking about with the demon horn. So it's honestly very hard to say. But usually I'd like to continue about the part. This is Viserai story. The thing about this is, well, each and every time they provided lore, it had a card in it. And the story we're reading was part of the Crucible War lore. And now it mentions at the end, if you look at it, it will show that it's talking about March 2021. Man, now, in my honest opinion, I do believe runeblade will get support next year. Now, I do not know if it's going to be in Monarch or Kingdoms for that matter, but I do believe runeblade is definitely getting some stuff. But I think a lot of the cards, if you'd notice, Lord Sutcliffe's note, that's tied into the lore, but not only from a mechanics perspective, but I think they like using cards to illustrate lore. So I do believe that. Return to Shadows. That one down below. We're about to get into the Crucible story. But anyway, what do I think Viserai could very much use? Now, we've been told it has a horrible wizard matchup in the Blitz format. And that's probably true in the standard portion. So the real question is, we got some pretty good defensive stuff like Rune Blood Barrier. But what I think it needs, I'd like to see a card that says sacrifice a rune chant, draw 2 cards, go again. Now, I don't know how many rune chants you would have to sacrifice and what would the cost would be for the card itself. I would have to say if they gave us something that was like it costed 1 resource and you had to sacrifice a rune chant, but rune chants can be very much made discreetly to make it sound like it wouldn't cost 2 cards. And I believe I would like to see something that allows us to sack rune chants to draw cards. I believe that would definitely help, because there are definitely times to where we're trying to set up rune chants for the following turn, but the opponent puts their boot down on our throat, and I've seen that plenty of times in Constructed, or even Blitz for that matter. But we do have a horrible wizard matchup, and we know precisely how to put pressure on the wizard. Ira does it good. You gotta rush him down. You gotta put pressure on the opponent, and this is no different than my limited options video I just did. I put my pressure on him because I was playing Dorenthia Iron Song, and I essentially got him into single digits within 2 turns. The first strike, and then the second strike, I got him down to 8, and he became much more defensive simply because, well, he has to weigh in the probability. Am I going to be able to draw the cards that I need to get this done? But anyway, I do believe we need offensive tools to put pressure, and I believe a draw spell that sacrifices rune chants. Now, how many? I don't know. 2, 3. Well, I think for the first version it should cost 1, sacrifice 2 rune chance, draw 2 cards. That way we can really put our boot down on someone's throat. And that would be especially good in situations, for example, if we were to play with Mavrin Skies. That gives our weapons go again, and if it hits, most of the time it will, it'll create more rune chance for the following turn. So if you hit with the red Mavrin Skies, plus you have access to Consuming Volition, that's going to put some pressure on the opponent because they're going to have to block, otherwise if it deals damage, and they've already been dealt arcane damage, you got to discard a card because the Consuming Volition hits. So we definitely got to put pressure on the wizard player. But not only that, we also got to be able to put pressure on strategies like control runeblade, because we need to go wide and overwhelm the amount of access. We gotta limit how many they can run, and we definitely need to go over the top. And I believe a draw spell that sacrificed rune chance would also be definitely good for something like Ninth Blade of the Blood Oath. I mean, that would require some setup if we were to go into a mid-range build, but the ability, I think that would probably involve a Bloodchief Skeleton with some rune chance and Mordred Tide in particular. That's what I believe it would be. I like that. I believe that's Arknight Ascendancy. Well, or it's going to be a new card art. I'm willing to bet that's going to be a defense react. That big old purple aura that you're seeing on the screen right now. Wouldn't surprise me if that's a defense reacts in the near future. Ooh, Reaping Blade out of someone's spine. Ooh, man. That's deadly. However, he's about to face the Guardian Irathiel. I tell you what. The demon that appears on our Guardian Irathiel. Now, what exactly is Irathiel Garden? That's honestly hard to say. But we've only really seen the Summoner's Hall. I'm willing to bet he's guarding the military portion of the manor. I'm willing to bet there's a big old basement with a bunch of demons, plus the necromancer, or whatever class there is. And the story continues March 2021, which will be next month. I don't know when exactly, but I am certainly looking forward to more lore into Viserai. However, I think his story ties into Monarch, because that's a month before, and that's a good way to get someone hyped. And I'm certainly looking forward to the new class and what it could potentially bring, and what else we could be possibly doing. It's certainly going to be interesting times. I'm sure there's going to be some hectic chaos with us trying to figure out how to get stuff pre-ordered. I mean, we're still dealing with COVID deliveries affecting distributions. It's certainly going to be interesting. Honestly, it's hard to say what we're going to have to deal with. But anyway, this is Moss over out with Grim Realms Gaming, and I'd like to remind you, enjoy the grind with either some alcohol beverage like Twisted Tea or whatever floats your boat, or lemonade if you got to be responsible. Have a good day.